Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet is an interesting game, bro. Considering that it's based off an anime which takes place in a video game, it's kind of obvious that there would be lots of Sword Art Online video games. And there were lots of them. A couple games on the PSP, 2 or 3 mobile games of varying quality, but in the Lord's year of 2022, there's only one game I'm going to be talking about in this video. And that game is, drumroll please, Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet. Yeah. Released in 2018 for the PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PCs, this game is the 5th non-mobile SAO game. Or at least I think it is. It's a third-person shooter if you couldn't tell already, and this game is based on the Gun Gale Online arc of the anime/light novel. I played this game a while ago back when it was on Xbox Game Pass, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy it a little bit. I'm always on the lookout for new action RPGs, and unless you count shit like the Valkyria games, then this is the first time I've really played an anime shooter. Shit, I just had to stop and anime shooter. Sounds gross. There's some things I liked about this game and there's some things I didn't, but that's why I'm here, bro. So stick around if you want to hear me talk about this game for however long this video is going to be, and also like and subscribe. So I guess the story would be a good place to start. Like I said before, this shit takes place during all the Gun Gale Online shit, but at the same time, it's kind of weird. So in this game, you have your own custom character, and based off that alone, you should understand why the story gets complicated. It takes most of the story from the anime, but then it adds in new characters and I guess different plot lines, and since it's a game that has 3 different endings, I guess that's also a thing you have to consider. But the story is not horrible. I can't say much about the anime, but while playing the game I actually grew to like the story and a lot of the characters. But kinda ironically, I think my favorite characters from this game were the ones that aren't actually from the anime. After a certain point, I stopped skipping cutscenes and actually started caring about what was going on. I can't really say the story is good. The pacing is horrendous and some of the characters are just clapped, but if you want to enjoy it, then you'll enjoy it, you know what I'm saying? Side note for all the other dumbasses, in the beginning I got kind of confused because technically you're playing a game in a game, so you're playing SAO Fatal Bullet, but in the game your character is playing Gun Gale Online. As long as you're not clapped like me, it shouldn't be that hard to understand, but if you are, then it might get a bit confusing, like some Inception type shit, game in a game. But just don't be stupid. So basically the story is that you start playing Gun Gale Online and your first day playing you get this new exclusive item. And this item is a fucking, I don't know, a maid, a partner, a slave. I don't know what the fuck they called it, but it's basically just a robot servant. And so Kirito being the fucking bum he is like, yo, nice servant, let's be friends. And then you and your servant become friends with all the SAO characters like Asuna and Klein. Yay. So fast forward a little bit and you're friends, you're settled in, you're good at the game, but some guy's killing players in real life, and that's basically where the real story starts. That might sound like I kind of just shoved that in there, unexpected, but it's kind of what happens in the game. I don't want to get too into it, but I guess the story was cool, the endings were cool, talking to the different characters was cool. It was a cool story experience, I guess. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the real meat and bones of this video. The gameplay. Where to start? So Fatal Bullet is a third-person shooter, but it's also an anime action RPG. If you come into this game expecting an anime version of Gears of War or Uncharted, then you'll be very disappointed. I'd be lying to you if I didn't say the shooting in this game was very weird. It's very unusual. The shooting is very floaty and very, I guess, unimpactful. Is that? Wait, yeah, nah, that's not a real word. Shooting someone in Fatal Bullet is very different to shooting someone in a game like Mass Effect because you're not shooting them, you're really just throwing bullets at them with a gun, if you get what I mean. It doesn't feel like you're shooting out of a pistol, it feels like your pistol has hands and it's throwing bullets at them. The bullets are very weak, it's very unenjoyable, it feels weird. First of all, it's an RPG, so because of the leveling system, you'll be spending a lot of time shooting certain enemies. And in other action RPGs, this works because you have multiple weapons and attacks and special moves. But in Fatal Bullet, you're just shooting at niggas, bro. But at the same time, an attempt was made to diversify the combat. Actually, a lot of things in this game make the combat kind of interesting. So first of all, there are swords in this game, or I guess lightsabers, but these aren't really that great in my opinion. But once you progress in the story enough, you'll eventually unlock the ability to dual wield certain weapons, and that ability makes the lightsabers a valid option. Being able to use a lightsaber with a pistol, it's really just the perfect combination. And it becomes even better when you start using gun and sword arts. So these arts are basically special abilities that do extra damage or do special things. I'm talking shit like poison bullets, bullets that set people on fire, shooting fucking lasers, things that just spice up the combat and make it less monotonous. Make it less monotonous than it would be. And with the lightsabers, Actually, what the fuck are these called? Photon swords. I might as well just call it a sword then. And with the swords, it makes them 100 times better. The swords are what makes the sword usable in my opinion, and without them, swords wouldn't even be an option. But apart from your sword and gun arts, there are also combat abilities that you can equip, like a roll that reloads your weapons or just a short speed or damage boost. And these end up coming in handy a lot of time. But as much as you might hate it, this is a shooter, so let me get back to the gun talk. Dual wielding SMGs or assault rifles or even fucking shotguns, it's beautiful. It works best with SMGs in my opinion, but even with all the other weapons, it just works well in this game. Especially because the combat doesn't really rely on precision and more on just throwing as many bullets at the target as you can. So being able to shoot double the bullets, it really is helpful, even if it takes away the whole precision aspect, which was never really useful in the first place. But while we're talking about weapons, in my opinion, personally, whoever designed these weapons was on crack. Now don't get me wrong, a lot of these weapons look good, or I guess decent, but at the same time, even more of these weapons just look dumb, bro. They just look stupid. They look like toys. They look like some shit out of Toy Story, bro. And like, this might seem like a stupid complaint, but when you're playing a third-person shooter, using a weapon that looks like it's out of fucking Roblox, it can really affect your enjoyment of the game. Especially when the fucking best weapons in the game look like they were picked up from Toys R Us. RIP. But anyway, so there's only 4 areas on the map, 5 if you count the hub world and more if you buy the DLC, but I didn't do that shit, so let's just say 4. These 4 areas are different enough, and they each have shit like dungeons or hidden items and chests, just things that encourage exploring. The dungeons are cool, to be honest, you know, finding your way through the whole shit and like the different pathways and having multiple bosses or at least a big boss at the end. It's really fun, and to be honest, they're probably the best part of the game. I do feel like these 4 areas were small, and that could have been fixed by just putting more than 4 areas in the game or just making them bigger. But the game's been out for 4 years, so I wouldn't expect any big game-changing updates anytime soon. In my opinion, the RPG elements of this game are done very well and is probably, apart from dungeons, the most enjoyable gameplay aspect. And that's not a good thing. When you level up, you get skill points, and you can put these points into certain attributes like luck or agility. These attributes directly change how your character works or how your gameplay works. For example, luck will give you a higher chance for critical hits and a higher chance for you to get better loot, whereas agility will just make your movements faster in every way, whether it's running or reloading speed. Upgrading these attributes will give you access to certain skills and certain weapons that you can't use without certain attributes at certain levels. The grind for weapons and high level items isn't as strong in this game as it is in other action RPGs, but it's still there, but just barely. I feel like my reason for grinding and doing dungeons was to get experience rather than get good loot. I feel like they failed this weapon wise. The rarest weapons in the game don't feel that unique and end up just doing more damage, and that's kind of disappointing. No cool traits, no cool abilities, and as I mentioned before, they all look dumb. But I guess it is what it is. Using weapons is still fun, but god, they could have put a lot more effort into designing them. That aspect of the game just falls flat. But one cool aspect of the game that I ended up enjoying more than I thought I would was the whole affinity system. So basically, each of the characters in the game have an affinity level, and the level increases when you do things like talk to them or play with them in your party. Oh, pause. And this shit, like raising their affinity, it was kind of fun. You unlock cutscenes and multiple choice things and shit like that, and it was kind of cool to learn about some of the characters. Also, since there's 3 endings in this game, you need to max out the affinity with certain characters to get the through ending, which I guess was fun, or I don't know if I just made myself believe it was fun because I was grinding for the true ending. But yeah, affinity is cool. I mean, unlike my other reviews, there isn't really much left to talk about. The soundtrack is alright, the graphics are alright, I don't know. The customization is cool, I guess, but like most anime games, it's kind of hard to make black characters. Now, before people get on my ass in the comments talking about, I don't know what they're gonna talk about, I'm not complaining, I'm just pointing it out. And these hairstyles aren't really made for African Americans, to say the least. And what's even more funny is that the darkest shade of skin you can pick in this game isn't even black. It just looks tan. And that's even weirder because there's literally a black guy in the game. But who cares? It's not really a big issue. It's not that deep. This game is just alright. It's not good, it's not bad. You can definitely find enjoyment in it if you really want to, but if not, then you're in for a pretty shitty time. I wouldn't really recommend this game unless you're like a massive SAO fan or you just have a huge boner for the Gun Gale Online arc. Actually, if you can get the whole thing with like DLC and all for under $10, then I'd recommend buying it. Like, I don't recommend you should play it, it's still kinda mid, but you should still buy it just for the crack. Man, you know the vibes, bro. Average game, above average YouTuber, you know what I'm saying? Like and subscribe. If you don't, then I will boom you. Yo, Jugo Young back at it again. So videos might be a lot more infrequent soon. If you've noticed, I've been just sticking to I've been sticking to one a week, but that might change. I'll try post like 2 videos every 2 weeks, so you'll still have the same amount of juicy, buttery, delicious goodness, but you'll have to wait longer. But you know, it's alright. You guys can wait. Who cares? Most of you niggas don't even have post notifications on, so turn that on. But yeah, I'm literally like so close to 100 subs, so please just sub, like, and turn on post notifications. Oh, fuck me, my arm hurts. This was Jugo Young. I'll see you guys next time. Better have 100 subs next time I see you guys. And peace.